experiment!
You're watching Pat Plays. It's time for another episode of Coffee and Nostalgia, and today we're going to start with another bit of show and tell and take a look at some of my old ride photos. So first off, we've got this one from 2006. As with a lot of these ones that I'm going to show you, that's me and my mate Matt Pritchard there, because we spent a lot of time in our youth. Sometimes twice a year we'd go to Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and I'd always end up buying a photo of us on the Pepsi Max. Next one, we're moving on to 2007 here. Again, it's Blackpool Pleasure Beach, and we're on the Pepsi Max there, the big one, and that's me in the Scream mask, and that's Matt there in whatever the hell mask that is. We have no idea where he got it from or what the hell it's supposed to be, and this mask has actually made an appearance in some video projects from the past, which I'll show you some clips from now with no context whatsoever.
So, are you gonna interview me? I'd rather not. Well, that's pretty funny.
Another Blackpool Pleasure Beach one here. This is again from 2007, and as you can see, that's me thinking that I'm a big man 13 years ago. Nothing's changed. Another Blackpool Pleasure Beach one here. Let's have a look. This one is from 2008. Right, I'm gonna have to censor this one somehow. Yeah, what you're looking at there, this is me and Matt on Valhalla. That is me pulling a Mooney. I knew where the picture was gonna get taken. It was actually on the backwards drop. I got up out my seat, turned around, pulled my pants down, there we go, and yeah, went down the drop backwards, quickly put my pants back on and then sat back down. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be so funny. You're just gonna see like my butt crack and it's gonna be a funny like mooning picture. I didn't realize that all you were gonna see was my overexposed ass and the brown eye right in the middle. So the bit that I'm covering up there is, yeah, it's my asshole. Next one is another one from Blackpool Pleasure Beach. This one's from 2009. There we are doing the mask thing again. That's me with the Michael Myers mask on, and there's Matt with the Jason Voorhees hockey mask. And then the next one I bought wasn't until 2013, 2014, around that time, and it's actually this keyring, me and Aki on the Smiler. My god, the Smiler is like, it's the craziest, funnest ride ever, honestly. I highly recommend going on it. It's so fun. And the thing that it's attached to there, that's my old key for the motorbike that I used to have. That's the alarm button there. So moving on now, we're going to take a look at some of the ride photos that I purchased whilst I've been in Florida. So first up, here we have one from Universal Studios. This one's from October of 2017, and that's me and Sammy on the Rip Ride Rocket roller coaster. And as you can see there, I'm just absolutely loving every minute of it. I do actually like roller coasters, I love them, but when I'm on them, I scream like a madman and I swear, and that's just how I am on roller coasters, but I still love them. Again, this is another one from 2017. This is from the Wizarding World of Harry Potter. It's like the Harry Potter section of Universal Studios. Does this even come out of here? Is it glued in or some shit? There, what the f? And we didn't actually buy this one. The guy behind the counter brought it up on the screen, and we absolutely hated it. And Sammy's like, oh my god, look at me, I'm screaming, because it was the part where the giant spiders come out at you, and that's when they take your picture, and she hates spiders. The guy behind the counter was like laughing his head off at it, and then he just printed it off and gave it us for free, because apparently they can give away one a day for free. So next up is another one from Universal Studios. This one here is from 2019. And again, this is another one of us on the Rip Ride Rocket roller coaster. And then lastly from Florida, another one from 2019 from Universal Studios. This was like an automated camera that they have set up, and you can get your picture taken with the screen used time machine DeLorean from Back to the Future. I think this was the 4th time that I've been to Universal Studios in Florida and seen the DeLorean time machine. And honestly, every single time I just get super excited. So at this point it kind of goes without saying that I'm a massive Back to the Future fan. I love all 3 films equally. I could never choose my favorite out of the 3. It changes all the time. And of course I've referenced and paid homage to the Back to the Future films in many of my videos from the past. Obviously starting back in 2004 when I made the Worms movie.
Jared, you got to come back with me. Where?
Back to the Future. Oh, wait a minute, I just gotta get my shoes. Shoes? Where we're going, we don't need shoes.
And then in 2007 I did that comic adaptation of the Worms film, and in this I literally put the DeLorean time machine into the story and had me and Jared driving it and time traveling using it. And again in 2007 we shot a time traveling sequence for the Scream Again 3 film.
18th of the 3rd, 2007.
And then of course on the 21st of October 2015 we released the Nike Air Mag sketch on the Patanaki channel, because this was the date that they travelled to the future in Back to the Future 2. And so obviously I wanted to do a Back to the Future style sketch to commemorate this. And of course I got to show off those Nike Air Mag replicas and that hoverboard replica too. Right. October 21st, 2015, check. Back to the Future trilogy on Blu-ray, check. Hoverboard. Oh, so cool. Oh, and power laces. All right.
Power laces, all right.
So as I was saying, I've been lucky enough to actually see the screen-used DeLorean cars. The first time was in 2013 when I went with Sammy and her family to Florida for the very first time. And then a year later in 2014, I got to see another screen-used DeLorean time machine. And this was during mine and Sammy's trip around America. We went to Universal Studios in LA, and they actually had this huge display made just for the DeLorean time machine, which was the original screen-used A car from the very first film that they'd completely refurbished to make it look exactly like it did when they first filmed it. And there's actually a documentary that you can watch of them rebuilding that car, which comes on that anniversary Blu-ray set which I've shown you. And then in 2017 I was back at Universal Studios in Florida again, so I got to see the DeLorean again and the train from part 3. And then finally the last time I saw it was in 2019 when I got that photo printed off, and I also took a few more snaps while we were there. Yeah, so I've been lucky enough to see in person 2 out of the 3 remaining Hero A cars from the Back to the Future trilogy. So that leaves just 1 of the 3 remaining Hero cars which I'm yet to see in person, and I'd love to get a chance to. But unfortunately this is also the only one that is privately owned, and that is the Part 3 Hero car.
When the hammer went down, I now have the notoriety of having paid the most money ever for a DeLorean motor car.
How much?
Well, it's $541,000 for this car. There were 7 DeLoreans used for the 3 movies. There are 3 that remain. The one that is in Universal Studios in Florida, the one that's in California, and the one sitting in my barn in North Central Massachusetts. This is the only screen-used DeLorean time machine in private hands.
So I said before that it's hard to choose out of the 3 films for me, which is my absolute favourite out of all of them. But the thing which the 3rd film has over the other 2 for me is the best iteration of the DeLorean time machine. And this is the one that Marty and Doc Brown have had to restore using 1950s technology and also those huge 1950s tyres. And seeing it driving around and bouncing about in the desert being chased by Indians is just awesome. So what I want to do now is actually show show you some clips from a documentary which I found on YouTube all about the Part 3 Hero DeLorean, which includes interviews with the guys that privately own this car and restored it and made it drivable again, which was made by the YouTube channel theAFICIONAUto. And if you're a fan of Back to the Future or DeLoreans or just movie cars in general, then I would definitely recommend watching this little documentary, and I'll put a link to it in the description below.
I knew when I bought that there'd never be another, that there'd be no other chance to own a car like that. And I knew that we would have it forever, that it'd be something that we would use to bring smiles to people's faces, to share it with people, and to also continue with our goal to raise awareness for Parkinson's. We allow people to have their picture taken right up close to the car. If they'd like to make a donation to the Fox Foundation. We're glad that we can have fun and at the same time raise awareness and some money for the Fox Foundation.
And of course, because it's my favourite movie car and one of my favourite film props of all time, yes, I have a model of it. So this here is the Back to the Future Part 3 1/15th scale time machine. This was made by Diamond Select Toys, and it is absolutely awesome. It's such a great screen accurate model of the car. There you can see those 1950s tyres on it, and there you've got that wooden crate strapped to the bonnet with the belt buckles with all the 1950s technology on it, and it's got this cool desert dusty look to it because obviously it's been driving through the desert being chased by Indians. When you press this button down there on the top, it used to light up, as it does in the film, it used to like light up blue and it'd do all sound effects and things like that, but it doesn't do it anymore. And you know, I'm not asked because, I mean, I'm not a kid. It's a model, it's not a toy, you know, it's for display only. And talking about all this, it actually reminded me that I used to have a remote control version of the DeLorean time machine. When I was talking about my Worms film from 2004 a while ago, there is a scene where in my bedroom, if you slow it down and you pause it, you can see in the background that remote control DeLorean is actually there, which is awesome because I love just having video proof of these things that I used to own, but I've obviously sold them or got rid of them or whatever. So keeping on with the topic of movie cars, in 2014, when me and Sammy were doing that trip around America, we also did a few studio tours. One of these was the Warner Brothers VIP studio tour. So this was like a guided tour around all of Warner Brothers studios. This is a photo which we got given at the end of the tour. Open that up and you get this extremely cheesy picture of me and Sammy with the Nolan Tumbler Batmobile coming at us. Again, I was pretty lucky to go this year because they were celebrating 75 years of Batman. Whilst we were there, the tour guide took us to this huge building and she was like, right, we're just gonna nip in here. You get 10 minutes just to walk around and take some photos. Next thing you know, she opens the door. We're in the Batcave and they just have spotlights on every Batmobile from every Batman film ever made. This blew my mind, like my jaw was on the floor. I'm like, you know, you've got the 89 Tim Burton one. There was Val Kilmer's Batmobile from Batman Forever. A couple of the camouflage ones from The Dark Knight Rises, which was just awesome because I absolutely love those ones. They had Batman's Batpod motorbike. Honestly, they had everything. And then next thing, she takes us into this other museum section. They had an entire museum room that was full of every costume and every prop that's been used on the Batman films. They had this massive glass display which had every Batman cowl that's been worn from every single film. They had all the costumes from the Nolan trilogy, and they even had that glass case that opens up with Batman's suit in the middle and all his, you know, his weapons on the side. So whilst we're talking about Batman, and more specifically the Nolan Batman trilogy, let's quickly look at my DVD and Blu-ray collection for this trilogy. So first off, we've got this limited edition DVD box set. So on the front, you've actually got this sort of holographic cover, and as you turn it from left to right, it starts off with the Batman Begins poster, turns to the Dark Knight poster, and then you get to the right and it turns to the Dark Knight Rises poster, and you can just keep moving it and it goes between the three. Open it up, there's Batman on his Batpod, and then open the whole thing thing out, and it just looks great like that. It's just so uniform. You've got the movie and the special features disc for all 3 films, and then also included in this set, the art and making of the Dark Knight trilogy. Honestly, this thing is just, it's awesome. It's just full of concept art, behind the scenes images of Batman's design and his look. You've got the early designs for the Joker from the Dark Knight. There you've got Harvey Dent and how he was going to look as Two-Face. And then they've even got these different concept designs for Bane's mask. But yeah, even if you already have these films on like Blu-ray or something, I would still highly recommend getting this box set version if you're a fan. So next up, we've got this Blu-ray box set of the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. Pretty bog standard, nothing fancy about this one, especially after looking at that DVD collection. It's just a simple box housing the 3 separate Blu-rays. You do get the special features for The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, so they both have 2 discs. And finally, we've got a more recent purchase, and that is this Christopher Nolan 4K box set. So this includes 4K Ultra HD Blu-ray versions of Dunkirk, Batman Begins, The Dark Knight Rises, Inception, Interstellar, and The Prestige. So this is a huge 21 disc set. The first box houses all of the Blu-ray versions of the films, and then you have a second one which has all the 4K Ultra HD versions, and then finally you have all the special features discs for each of the films in this final Blu-ray set. Just quickly going back to that Warner Brothers studio tour, one of the other awesome things that I got to do whilst I was there was actually going into Soundstage 25. And the reason why this one's special is because, as you can see in these pictures, this is the soundstage where they shot Blade Runner, Batman Returns, and Gremlins 2 The New Batch. So keeping on with the movie car theme, one of the other tours that we got to do whilst we were in LA was the Sony Pictures tour. And whilst we were on this tour, we got to see Ecto 1, which of course is the Ghostbusters car, and this is the original screen used car which they used in both Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2. And seeing that car in person was almost like the icing on the cake for the whole trip for me, because at the start of this trip we were in New York. I got to visit some of the locations where they filmed the Ghostbusters movies. So I went from seeing the locations from the films to actually seeing the screen used Ecto 1 car, and also some of the screen used props which they had in the prop museum, which was part of the tour. And then finally, another famous screen used vehicle which we got to see whilst we were on the Sony Pictures tour was the RV from Breaking Bad. And I think I can confidently say that Breaking Bad is my all-time favourite TV show ever. Again, I lost my shit when I got to stand next to the screen-used RV. And not only that, but right next to the RV, they actually still had Bryan Cranston's nameplate on his reserved parking space. So whilst we're on Breaking Bad, let's quickly take a look at the complete series on Blu-ray. And today, this thing must have been rewatched at least 4 or 5 times. So Sammy actually got me this Blu-ray set for my birthday. It must be around 5 or 6 years ago now. And honestly, it's just such a nice set with each of the seasons on their little individual cards. All of them with the separate cover art, which you would have got if you bought them all separately. My favourite always being the season 5 one. And sometimes rather than sitting down and watching a film, I'll just watch the last 3 or 4 episodes of Breaking Bad back to back as though they're one big movie. I think it's one of the best finales to any TV show ever. And then finally, while we're talking about Breaking Bad and Blu-rays, let's take a look at this limited edition Breaking Bad barrel Blu-ray set. You open the lid just like you would with the real barrels, and in the top there they've made it look like that's all his money stacked up, when actually if you pull that out, and then inside there, that yellow bit, that's actually a cooking apron with a logo on it of the Polos Hermanos restaurant. But as you can see there, I've left mine unopened. Underneath that you get this little Heisenberg commemorative coin, and then actually on the bottom of the lid that we just took off, there's a Blu-ray disc there with some extra behind the scenes and special features that were only released with this set. So then at the front there you've got the periodic table logo for Breaking Bad, and then the door opens up to reveal all the discs inside. So inside the door, the first thing that you see is this little booklet that comes with it, and on the first 2 pages there's almost this handwritten thank you from Vince Gilligan himself. So I'm gonna read some of this out while I show you the rest of the box set. Over the last few years, many people have asked me why Breaking Bad was leaving the party. Friends and strangers alike told me it was too soon to end the show. I thank them for that highest of compliments, just as I now thank you. Yes, you, pal. I'm talking to you. You're the completionist who just shelled out good money for our series box set. This, after you bought each and every individual season as they became available, all of which you've now got listed on eBay. And there you sit, cross-legged on the living room floor in front of your new black plastic barrel, which is splayed open atop your coffee table. And you're actually reading the linear notes. I mean, who does that? You're the reason we made Breaking Bad in the first place. You're why we sweated the small stuff for 6 straight years, and why the folks at Sony Home Entertainment busted their butts making what I believe to be the coolest, most complete series box set ever. There are way more extras jam-packed into this sucker than are required to satisfy the whore mistress that is commerce. This final set represents, dare I say it, a labour of love. That's because we know you were out there caring as much about this show as we do, and that means the world to us. Believe it or not, you're also the reason we ended Breaking Bad when we did, because the only thing worse than leaving a party too soon is leaving it too late. Yours truly, Vince Gilligan. And with that, we come to the end of this episode of Coffee and Nostalgia. Thank you so much again for watching, and I will see you again next time.